this week we're gonna do the just like a throwback, like a history lesson.
Yeah, man.
Just like a history lesson.
Dabble into the archives and into the stock market.
Yeah,
world.
Just get into this.
I'm gonna have to pick that brain over there, man. That brain trust under that Rangers cap.
Yeah. So pick the brain trust, and we just go at it, because this topic it could go on for about 2 hours.
Yeah.
But so every intricacy that you think to ask, and then we'll go from there, man.
All right, man. So you ready, CP?
You ready?
Let's get it cracking. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Eric Patrick, the Hip Hop Stock Doc from Black Market Exchange. Thanks for tuning in to the latest podcast on Brent, Money, and Life. We talking about Brent, that stock market, money, them finances, and life, that lifestyle. We touching in all of it. The website, www.thebmex.com. You know us on Instagram by now, black_market_exchange, and Twitter @bmex_. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube page. Follow us on SoundCloud.
Comment. Yeah, I interrupted. This is Carter Park.
Yeah. Hey, man, that's what you gotta do, man.
So you don't gotta throw it to me today.
You be enthusiastic.
Yeah,
that's how I be.
I'm ready to go. I jumped the gun. I'm ready to go, man. So yeah, make sure you guys comment, subscribe to us on YouTube, check us out on SoundCloud. Just keep us on our toes. Keep giving us great feedback. Keep letting us know what it is that you want to hear from us, and we'll keep trying to provide you with the most honest and accurate information that we can, man. So,
and real quick, for the one thing about feedback we have been getting, of course, is now we're at the stage where, man, you guys got great content. You guys got a lot of content. Where do I start? Well, we working behind the scenes right now.
We working on it. We got a couple of things in the works.
Yeah. We're working on a little program for you all, and it's gonna be a quick program. You ain't gotta tie yourself in for a month, 2 months at a time. It's gonna be real quick. You're gonna be able to. It's gonna take you from finding cash to investing that cash in 1 week, sir.
That's right, and it's not gonna be so convoluted and complicated. It's gonna be direct and straight to the point. And we've worked hard on this, and
it's gonna be cool.
It's gonna be cool.
It's gonna be real cool.
It's gonna be good.
Wait till they hear the analogies up in this joint, man.
Yeah, man. It's gonna be on point, and it's not gonna be a dry. I'm in class. Oh, the teacher says this, and let me take notes. It's gonna be quick. It's gonna be to the point, but it's also gonna be relatable, man.
Yeah.
And we really appreciate all the support you have been giving us. And if you will continue to support us, we will continue to bring you valuable information. So stay tuned. Be on the lookout for that. That's coming. I said that 3 times, right? Because we got some. It has to do with 3, so that's in the pipeline as well. So just be on the lookout for that. But next up to bat is what we have on deck, and this teaching tool. I think you guys will love it. It's a great idea that came to the Hip Hop Stock Doc. I put my input into it, and we let God handle the rest. So
yeah. So real quick, a lot of times you guys don't understand. We have this podcast for you all, but we talk for continuous hours outside of the podcast too. Like, it's crazy how much we can talk about this stuff because it is that cool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it is the thing to talk about. Like, we talk about this more than we talk about the NBA playoffs or something. Like, it's crazy.
That's why we started the podcast, because we were sitting around talking and our wives was like, you know what? Y'all should capture this information.
Man, we could be in there eating some chicken. Like, wait a minute, we need to record that.
Yeah. We could be doing anything. I remember we would just be over one another's house, and this long conversation would break out, and it's gone in the wind.
Yeah.
Vamoose. It's gone.
Like, somebody could have benefited from that.
Yeah.
Man.
So we said, you know what? We should do a podcast. It's not nothing that's too complicated.
Yeah.
We set it up, and we've been blessed and afforded the opportunity to do it. So hey, this is what we do, man. So
Now, of course, y'all know we focus on the whole transformation from consumer to investor. But let's go ahead and just kind of take it back a step. We want to give, I don't want to call it a history lesson, but just a very great understanding of the functionality behind the scenes in the stock market.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and put it out there. So every once in a while, we're going to dedicate one podcast to like the functionality of the stock market. You know, we spend a lot of time on getting you from consumer to investor, educating you on terms and knowledge, educating you on how to invest in yourself. But we also want to educate you on actually the part of investing. You know, just actual investing and, you know, where it all comes from and where it all starts. So, you know, today we're going to tell them what we're going to do today, man. I'm taking over because I'm so excited, man.
No. So, we can just get into it. I want to first start with, I know from my knowledge that back in the day, people used to get these certificates. So if you buy shares in a company of stock, like you'll get a certificate that says so-and-so, you own this many shares in this company. And, you know, just like you can have, maybe you have a safety deposit box, you keep, you know, your valuable items in there. Some people keep even jewelry in there. You're gonna keep your stock certificates in there as well. Same thing with bonds. You're the bearer of a bond.
So
I've been, you know, buying and selling stocks, but I have yet to receive any certificate yet. So what's going on with that?
So you know, the stock cert is becoming, you know, obsolete. You know, but that's what the lesson, that's what we're going to talk about today, actual physical certs. So when you hear this term, and you hear it rarely these days, but you hear the term physical cert, you know, and a physical cert is a actual stock certificate. It's a physical stock.
Like you can frame that joint.
Certificate. Yeah, you can hang it on your wall, man. It's well, so this conversation started from our last podcast. We had an after podcast. We need to start doing that, man. The after podcast. Because we had an extra podcast on top of the podcast.
Yeah.
And I was telling, you know, the Hip Hop Stock Doc he's a great investor. He has a great mind. But how, you know, you kind of just getting your, you know, you just getting your feet wet, right?
And I'm 100% honest with people. I bought my first stock about almost 4 years ago, but I didn't truly get into it till this time last year.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, hard body, just full force. I've been in this for a year.
Yeah.
And so I know a lot of people come to me and be like, man, you know, I got people come to me like I'm a financial advisor. Like, hey, I want to come to you. I'll pay you and stuff like that. How much can I give you to invest for me? And I'm just like, I'm not even certified to do that.
Yeah, which we're not financial advisors, but I started in finance at 17. I started actually in banking. I took an entry-level position and worked that entry-level position, and I was afforded the opportunity to go through one of the best investment programs offered by a Fortune 500 company. Now, we're not going to put that out there, so I started as a settlements rep, and basically what that means is I settle trades, you know, for a custodian for a Fortune 500 company, right? So
can you explain what a custodian is?
Well, a custodian is, because we're gonna have to get into that when we talk about
that
the
could be
search.
Okay.
So what a custodian is. So I don't want to drag you too deeply in the mud.
Yeah. Just if you can get some kind of surface, because you threw a term out, and you know, a custodian. I'm like, is that the janitor? Or
the
something?
janitor, That's why I love the Hip Hop Stock Doc. You know, because people are saying, "What's a custodian?" Well, your brokerage firms cannot actually hold the physical certs.
So that's your you know, Fidelity, E-Trade, all these brokerage companies.
They don't hold the actual certs. A custodian holds that, and the reason why that is because of the trade is broken down into major parts, right? So you just don't say, okay, I am going to I want to buy some Apple, right? And you just lollygag, and you buy Apple, right? So what happens is, let's give you a brief synopsis of the life of a trade.
So real quick, so I'm sitting at my computer, Hip Hop Stock Doc. I'm on here, and I say I'm setting up a buy order, and I click buy, and all of a sudden now I own 5 shares. You mean to tell me there's a lot more that goes into that?
Yeah. So that's why. So okay, I haven't forgot about you guys. I'm gonna explain what the custodian is, but we got to set this up right. We got to set this up properly. It's like a dunk or alley oop. You got to set this thing up right.
Yeah.
So. Okay, so you're sitting at your desk, right?
Your name is CP too.
Yeah, CP. You know, that's who sets it up. You know, when Blake Griffin is going in, guess who set it up? CP. You know, so when you're sitting at your desk, right, and you're getting ready to buy that Apple stock, what has to happen is somebody has to be on the other side that actually is willing to sell that to you, right? Mm-hmm. But those people are sitting at 2 separate brokerages, right? Yes. So the broker actually, guess what? Brokers the deal. Mm-hmm. So the custodian...
You know, I was watching... Sorry to interrupt, man. This is funny to me. I was watching... not part of the interruption, Around the Horn. And Woody Page was on there. He's got that chalkboard in the back.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, why do you give money to invest to someone named a broker? I thought that was so funny. Because he got the term broke in there.
Yeah.
It was just funny.
Well, they actually broker the deal. They broker the deal. They set it up. They set the deal up. And the custodian holds the custody, right? So... I know we're throwing out terms that you may know the definition, but not necessarily in securities related definition, right? So the custody, right, is the actual security. So the buy order comes from the left side, right? You say, I'm going to buy 5 shares of Apple, right? So that comes through. And the right side, it says, I want to sell 5 shares of Apple, right? So we're not gonna get into prices and all that. So it comes from that side, right? And they say, okay, this locks in, right? So we got it good. We got somebody over here that wants to buy, and I know this is happening so quick. It's simultaneously, right? But you got to understand that there are buy and sell orders going out all day.
Oh yeah, and I honestly I've made a buy order, and let's say it was 100 shares. I'll get a notice sometimes that 30 shares executed. And then a second later, 70 shares executed to complete it. It isn't always all at the same time.
Yeah, so we're gonna get into that too. You know, that's what's called a short sale, right? So say so let me go ahead and tackle that real quick. We're gonna come back. I know we're jumping all over the place, but
this is why this is so interesting and why I want to talk about it.
I know we're jumping all over the place, but this is exactly why I felt that it was necessary for me and the Hip Hop Stock Doc to talk about it, because you might have to listen to this podcast a couple of times to get all what we're saying. So, okay, say you got an order for 100 Apple, right? And you feel it. So you're at your computer, right? And you say, I want to buy 100, right? There may be 2 sale orders, and I'm going to do it evenly for 50-50, coming from 2 separate brokers, right? Yeah. So let's say broker A says, okay, good. They send over the 50. So that's when you see 50 executed on your screen. You're like, yeah, I got 50 of it. I got half of it. Where my other half at though? Yeah. So the other half is coming from a separate broker, right? And they may be waiting on the shares because they have a buy order on their side. So although they're selling to Hip Hop Stock Doc, CP might have sold to that broker. So they have to wait till that trade settles to fulfill their order so they can fill the Hip Hop Stock Doc. So
it's that chain of command. Like
it's that chain of command.
This one came in first, so I need to handle that first.
Yes. Okay. So let me put it in real layman's terms, right? So if you ever bought some shoes online, right? Maybe some Jordans that are coming out, right? Yeah. And you say, well, I can buy them online from this site, maybe like Flight Club or something that I know is going to have them, right? But they haven't came out yet. So what Flight Club does, right? They sell you the shoe, you go ahead and pay for it, but they don't actually have the shoe yet. So when Nike fulfills Flight Club's order and sends out that Jordan, guess what? Then they can ship you your Jordans. That's it. There it is, right there. If y'all can see me, I got my hands up.
And see, I didn't even know Flight Club worked like that. I just know from the physical store, I know they have stuff in there, but from the online store, I didn't know it worked like that.
Yeah, so like Flight Club, they buy and sell shoes all the time.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
The shoe doesn't have to be necessarily new, right? So you may buy a shoe and they may have to, get that shoe shipped out to you, or they know that Nike's going to restock.
Yeah.
So let's go.
They just broker in the deal.
They just broker in the deal. That's right. They're the connector. They're essentially the broker, right? So say the Jordan 11s are going to come out, right? In December, right? So they come out in December, they sell out, right? But they always do a restock, maybe like in March.
Yeah.
So people pre-order. So whenever you pre-order something, it's essentially the same thing. Even if you're on like iTunes, right? So you want to get the new what was the last big album that everybody pre-ordered? Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah, it's probably
Kendrick Lamar, right? It was
Here's a Wale.
Here's a Wale, which is a great album. Tan. Telling you. See, I got sidetracked again. White Shoes is my favorite song on there, man. Wow.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you go to iTunes and you say, well, I want to pre-order Wale's Tan, the album about nothing, right? So what they do is they essentially they sell you the album, right? But you don't have the album yet.
Yeah.
They're waiting to get their order fulfilled from the manufacturer.
Correct.
You know, or in iTunes case, when the record company says, okay, it's good to release, so essentially that's the same thing. So when you come into the situation where you're online and you've purchased 100 shares of Apple, 50 fulfills, you're still waiting on 50, and then maybe, sometimes it's a couple hours, and then the other 50, well, it'll get to you.
So real quick, to break this down, this sounds like to me, so say for instance, I just purchased 2 books off of Amazon, right? The same day.
Yeah.
But they're going to come from different sellers.
Yes.
Normally.
Yeah.
Or it's a person that's connected to different sellers.
That's right.
I've received one book already, and the other book is still on its way.
That's right.
Even though I bought them at the same time. That's basically what's happening. That's
basically it. When you see your order saying, okay, 50 other shares has executed, we're still waiting on the other 50. So that's what happens. So what the custodian's role was, they held the actual securities, right? So let's go old school, way back in the day.
Back in the days when I was young.
Not a kid anymore, but some days
I have to go watch that movie.
Yeah. So back in the day, right, before the advent of the internet, before electronic trading was so prevalent, you would actually buy a certificate. That's what you would have, right? And the custodian would actually hold these physical certs, just in case there wasn't no funny business going on. Exactly. It's a middleman. It's just like Amazon. So look at the custodian like as an Amazon warehouse. Okay, let's put it right there. Amazon has all this stuff, right? So if you notice on Amazon, sometimes it says you're buying from Leroy's Chop Shop, but it's fulfilled by Amazon.
Yeah.
That means Leroy's Chop Shop has worked out a deal with Amazon, and they fulfill the item that you bought from the Amazon warehouse. So that way you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, like basically Amazon's already kind of bought it ahead of time.
And
it took that responsibility on, and now Amazon can do with it what they want.
That's right. So even though it says I bought it from Leroy's, it's fulfilled by Amazon. So Amazon is actually going to ship you the part or whatever you bought. So that essentially, in layman's terms, was the role of the custodian. You bought it from one broker on this side, he sold it on this side, but the custodian actually held it, and they accounted for those physical certs and re-registration of those certs. Say, okay, so we're finna get real deep into it.
Is that more so for legal issues? Because I'm assuming back in the day, people used to get those certs until, for whatever reason, now the custodian's holding. I'm assuming that's how it went down.
Well, you could always request for a cert, but it was in your best interest to let the custodian hold it. Yeah, because if somebody, it's probably your grandmother or your great grandmother, has a little pull back in the floor or something that's got some certs in there, and if somebody gets those, you mentioned the term bearer bonds, so I don't know how familiar you guys in the podcast world are familiar with bearer bonds, but essentially a bearer bond means exactly that. It means whoever bears that bond is the owner. Okay. So I remember hearing this story back when I first started investing, right? They were like the messengers in New York. They used to ride these bikes back in the day, and somebody would bump into them, and the bearer bonds would go flying everywhere, and everybody on the streets just grabbing bonds, because whoever bared the bonds, like I actually bear this bond, it was yours, So that was extremely dangerous to have, like carriers on the bikes and stuff carrying the bearer bonds, So let's go back to the physical certs, and you have to understand that, okay. Oh, Granny got this stash in the floor, and she got all these Walt Disney certs in there. Those certs are what people used to do, and I use Walt Disney because that was the novelty thing, especially like back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Grandparents would buy their kids shares of Walt Disney, right? Okay. And they would actually ask for the physical shares so they could give it as a gift. So on Christmas, you come in there and you like, look what Granny bought you. She bought you some shares.
That is a gift for Black Friday. For you right there. That's a gift.
That's a gift right there. That is a gift. So Granny would come in and be like, oh, and you would look at it and you were a kid, This is, back in the day, you would look at it and you'd be like, oh, I own a little piece of Walt Disney. And you could frame it or whatever,
And to kind of transition that into this day and age, I've been doing the whole 52-week challenge where you save an extra $1 every week. So the first week of the year you save $1, the second week you save $2. So by the end of the year you're gonna have it's like $1,200 or something like that. I'm gonna take that money and open an investment account for my daughter who's 6 months now. I'm gonna do this plan every year. So by the time she comes into high school, she probably gonna have a few racks on her already investing. But by then, I'm gonna be schooling her to the game, teaching her how to do it and stuff like that. Because until she turns 18, she can't have access to it anyway. She can't fulfill it. But it's like that's the same way. It's like, you know what? You don't have a physical cert, but you know what? You got 1,000 shares of Apple. I bought this 15 years ago when you was 3 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like it's gonna be the same thing. I recommend people do something like that.
That's a good idea.
Because that's a gift. That's a graduation gift. Right. Imagine your parents give you 30 racks as a graduation gift.
Yeah, man. You might blow your head off. You might go crazy. You might be like, boom, the top of your head explodes. Yeah. Like they do in the cartoons. And that's another thing that I kind of want to put out there, and I just want to make sure that it's really clear. So those people who own those physical certs from back in the day, like what Walt Disney is trading at now, they can turn in that physical cert
and get what it's trading at today.
Yeah, get what it's trading at today.
Then.
I just wanted to put that in there because I didn't want anybody to be confused.
Like it just diminished value.
Yeah. And so with the physical cert, let's go into the aesthetics of the physical cert.
I wonder if they could even. I don't even think this is legal. But I'm wondering if they could even put that like on eBay or something. I bet people would pay money for that.
Well, it does cost you more to get a physical. I'm glad you brought that up. It costs you more to get a physical cert. So you could still do that today. You could own Walt Disney shares, right? And you could say, well, I want to give my kids, I want to have a gift so they can like put it up on their wall or something. Right? You can actually still get a physical cert. Now you're gonna pay for it. They're gonna tax you. They're gonna tax you for it.
And what happens? Let's say if your kid lost it.
If they lost it,
little Johnny was started to use his crayons and was drawn all on it or something.
If it's drawn on, they'll still take it. Okay. I've seen certs. Now that's another thing we're gonna get into. The conditional certs.
Okay.
So I've seen certs that have went through the war zone, and they're like barely hanging on. But when you get these, so let me even break that further down. When you get that's where a stock cert differs from a bearer bond. Now a bearer bond, if Lil Johnny said, I want to take it to school for show and tell, and little Timmy took the bearer bond away and took it home, then whoever bears the bond is the owner of it.
Yeah.
But with a stock cert, you actually have to register those certs.
Okay.
So it will be registered under there, and they can send you a replacement cert.
So
man,
kinda,
you own it. The hip hop stock dog is on it.
So that's kind of like some of these luxury bags. Like I know, like Coach bags. I'm sure Louis Vuitton and Gucci.
Yes.
You know, each of those has like a ID number, and you register that number.
Yeah.
And if something happens to it, I think they give you a new purse.
Well, this is because my wife has one. Oh man, you should see.
But you got to register, right?
Yeah. But what happens is, right? You take the bag. So like, if you have a Louis Vuitton bag, right? The bag will. We got to get in purse talk real quick. the bag will actually patina, and that's if you see somebody with an authentic Louis Vuitton bag, the handles will be discolored because that's the patina. That's the leather that they use, and then the piping around it, or it'll start to over time it's although it's an expensive handbag. It's gonna wear.
Yeah.
So what you can do with those bags is you can take that bag back to Louis Vuitton. It always has a serial number. It doesn't always have that patch in it, but it always has a serial number and it's hidden under the flap. I know I'm kind of dropping some gems right here.
A lot of these chicks might not know.
It's hidden under this. I don't. You have to ask my wife, but it's a certain flap that they're gonna flip up. And they're gonna already know. So when you take it back, what they do is they repair it for you.
Oh, okay.
They repair it for you. They make the patina good again, and they repipe it.
Because that's why these bags cost so much money.
Yeah, they take but they still charge you for that. I think it's like $130.
Oh, okay.
So women, please don't kill CP if it's not $130. You try to take your bag up there. But make sure your bag is authentic if you take it up there, because they're going to tell you.
And a quick tidbit, if you guys didn't know, Louis Vuitton, Moet, Hennessy is actually one company.
One company?
So Louis Vuitton, Moet, and Hennessy are one company. So all y'all women rocking the Louis bag, all y'all ballers popping bottles of Moet, and all the goons drinking Hennessy, all y'all are paying the same company, which is on a foreign stock exchange. Yeah. Go look it up now and see which stock exchange it's on.
See what that's all about. And
now I was joking about the goons. I done had Hennessy in my day too. I ain't no goon.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you so. The handbag. How did we get on the handbags, man?
I don't know, man. We was talking about the shirts and making it,
Oh, okay, yeah. To actually issue a new cert. So when you think about it, right? So if little Timmy decided to destroy his cert, the cert is actually registered.
Okay.
So you can get a replacement cert, but that's going to cost you as well. So right now, like, say you own 100 shares of Apple, and you said, well, I got 10 grandkids, right? If I know you guys out there don't have 10 grandkids, but let's just say you have your kids, right? And you say, well, I own 100 certs, I own 100 shares of Apple, right? So you know what? I want to give my kid an actual cert, right? You could actually call your brokerage firm and say, well, I want a physical cert. And you could say, you know what? They'll send it out to you.
And they're going to get that from the custodian.
Yeah, they're going to, So actually, who's ever holding this, so the custodian will be holding the actual cert. And but if it's a new cert, then they'll issue you a new cert.
As if like you bought it that day?
Yeah, so if it's a new cert, they're going to issue you one.
From the brokerage firm?
Yeah.
Oh,
okay, so we got to get real deep. Because see, before the advent of electronic trading, right, physical certs weren't the norm.
So they were just exchanging hands all the time.
Yeah, well, the custodian has it, and then, so...
That's got to be a crazy job, man, to try to keep up with all that paper.
Man, I used to count. We used to actually count physical certs on a Saturday, right? And this was during the electronic age of trading, but there were so many people.
So this is within the past 10 years.
Yeah, this was like maybe 4 years ago. Come on, son. It's a lot of physical certs still sitting out there.
2015.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a lot of physical certs still out there, man. They count those certs every 1 month, 1 weekend out of the month. The brokerage house is going to be like, yo, who's ever holding the custodian is going to be like, you know what? We got to count these physical certs.
Man, that reminds me of the movie Office Space when Lumbergh be walking around and he's like, did you get that TPS report.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's what it's people trying to skate up out of there.
Yeah, they do not want anything to do with the TPS report, man. So, but so when we actually would count the physical certs, right? So say you own, because this was not a easy task. I'm telling you that.
Okay.
You would get a box, right? An actual box of certificates.
Mm-hmm.
So on the outside of the box, it would say, okay, this is how much should be in this box.
Mm-hmm.
Of
in terms of shares or number of certs.
Shares. So I'm glad you said that, because some certs you don't actually get a cert for every one share you own, unless you specify that. But then
if you get 10 shares and you want to give it to 10 kids, then you can get it that way.
You can get it that way. But if you got 10 shares, they're going to send you one cert and it's going to have 10 shares on it. Mm-hmm. You know, or if you got 15,000 shares, they're going to send you one cert.
We can't be wasting trees out
here.
They're
going to send you one cert and it has 15,000 shares of XYZ company on it, right? So we would have to do is actually go through, and we would have to make sure that the actual certs in the box match what we have on the outside.
Okay.
Because if you don't, then you got a problem.
Yeah.
Because we need to find those certs. Because at any time, that person, whoever owns those shares, could call up and say, hey, I need my shares.
And see, that's kind of like me being a pharmacist. You know, I have continuing education. I have to renew my license every 2 years. And within that 2 years, I have to have 30 hours of continuing education. Yeah. Now, the State Board of Pharmacy isn't going to come to me every single year asking me for it, but they can. They can. You know, like the IRS, they don't come at everybody for their taxes. They let you slide. But if they choose to audit you, they can, and you better have your stuff.
You better have your stuff ready, you know. So that's because like at any point in time, you can say, hey, well, I want to give this to somebody. I want to put it in somebody's house or in a frame, you know. And if you lost those, and there's a thing for lost certificates, you know, lost certs, you know. So you have to, if the certs are actually lost, like even if you have physical shares, right, and you have to turn them in to an entity, they recommend you insure those. Oh, okay. They recommend you insure those. So say Granny passed away and y'all found her stash. She's like, man, Granny got like 20,000 worth of Walt Disney shares and some Apple. Granny was stacking up. Right. So you don't want to hold on to them, right? So you need to send those in for those shares to be housed. The brokerage firm, the custodian, the first thing they're gonna tell you to do is, because whoever you're turning in,
because basically you can just, is a number on there that they can just call up, or who do they know even who to give it to?
Well, yeah, there's information on the cert. Okay. Yeah, so there's information on the actual cert. So, but you could, since it's not tied to a brokerage firm, you could just go to a brokerage firm and say, hey, I got all these physical certs. What do I do with them? And they'll give you the information. Okay. You know, so whether you're turning them into a brokerage firm, I doubt that you go to a custodian yourself. Yeah. Because you don't know the entities and the work. That's kind of behind the scenes to the average person. But you go to a brokerage firm.
That's like trying to call up the Federal Reserve. Like, no, player, you gonna call Bank of America.
Yeah, you need to go through them first, and they'll get it to where you need it to be. Yeah. But if you have to send those certs in, they're gonna make sure that you insure those certs. Okay. You know, so if you got like, she had 15,000 worth of Disney and 20,000 Apple, you might have to come out of your pocket a lot to insure that, because you got a lot of money. Oh, wow. You know, unless you just feel comfortable walking into a brokerage firm with that.
And you know, I'm sure they won't let you sell some of the shares to come up with the money to insure.
Well, you could essentially, but you still got to go through the process.
Because how can you sell it if they're not even insured yet?
Yeah, what they're doing is they're just insuring them to make sure that they get there. Because the shares are going to go through.
It's kind of like when you go to the post office.
Yeah, because so you might have to send them through the post office.
Oh, yeah.
So say you go to X company, right? And X company says, well, we house all our shares in Connecticut. We need you to send these shares to Connecticut so we can credit your investment account.
Oh,
Essentially,
okay.
that's the same thing. So, okay, if you were to open up a brokerage account, an investment account, right, and you start buying Apple, that's what would happen, right? But you go to this brokerage firm and you say, hey, I want to open up a brokerage account. I have physical shares. So you take one of them into the brokerage, they verify them, and then they say, okay, these shares need to be housed at our Connecticut facility.
Okay.
What we need you to do before we credit your account, right? Because it's essentially what you're doing the same thing if you were buying them. So we need you to ship them to Connecticut. But
Okay.
before you ship them to Connecticut via UPS, USPC, FedEx, or whatever, we need you to insure these.
Now, is this insuring? I know we always talk about the SIPC. Is that who insures, or
Nah, this is just like if you were buying something off Amazon and it was really expensive and you need to insure it that it gets there. So you would buy so let's take the investment aspect out of it. They're just insuring it, that you're insuring it because it's like money.
Yeah, but when I say insure, I'm just like, I mean, you're not in good hands, right? You don't go to Allstate and just say, hey, I got these certs over here. Like, I'm just wondering who is it that, who is the insurer?
You get it from like FedEx or the U.S. Postal Service.
Just whoever you're sending.
Yeah, just whoever you're sending it to, because
okay.
it's on them then.
I got you.
Now they're going to charge you if you got like 15,000 shares of Apple. They're going to be like, yo, for us to insure this.
That ain't just Granny's brownies right there.
Yeah, for us to insure this, you're going to, because they, when you're insuring something, they kind of ask you what's it worth, and what is it worth, right? So in order to get it there, unless you want to drive in your car with the shares, you're going to have to insure it to get it back there. You don't have to. But the brokerage firm is going to
if you get 20,000 shares of Walt Disney, and right now it's trading at $120, and you don't want to put insurance on it, man, please.
That's on you.
It's on you if they get lost. You don't need to be investing. That's what I'm just going to come out and say it.
That's on you if they get lost, because it's paramount to insure those certs, man. I'm just saying. So once they get the certs, right, they're going to credit your account like it's electronic. So we have to go back to the past to come to the future. So like we have to jump in the DeLorean and go back to the future. So when you essentially, let me tie a knot on this real quick. So essentially, when you have a investment account, right? So your investment account, it holds the securities that you've bought and traded, right? So, but you don't have physical certs, right?
No,
because you're just strictly electronic, right? So, say for instance,
I didn't even know physical certs still existed till you told me like a week ago.
They don't.
I thought they just got rid of them altogether.
Nah, they didn't get rid of them. You can still request them now. So you could go to call your brokerage.
But after this conversation, I don't know if people want that hassle.
You could call your brokerage firm and say, hey, I want a physical cert. Now they're going to charge you an absurd amount to get it, but they will get it to you. They will get it to you. So
I wonder what they say on the other side of the phone. They probably be like, this joker right here. They're going to call, and they probably be at the water cooler like, man, man, they asked for a physical cert. You can believe that?
Can you believe that? Now look what we got to go through. But you know what? They do that they put that extra charge on there to discourage you from doing that.
Yeah.
Since everything is electronic. But some people are like, hey, I want to get, like you
nostalgic,
have a
man.
Yeah, you have a 6-month-old. I have a 6-year-old. I might want to give him him and my daughter a plaque so they can put in their room. It's like, this is my first investment my father made for me. So it may be worth it for you to pay that extra. This is not the price, guys. That extra $50 or $60 to get that cert.
And to be mindful, if you do get one, let's say you pass it down to your child, and your child ends up wanting to sell it, they have to turn that cert back in. Yeah. So they can't keep it forever and ever as a keepsake. Like, they got to turn it back in. So that's just something when they get older that needs to be addressed to them, that they need to be mindful of.
They need to be mindful of it, because if you're gonna sell it, somebody gonna want it. So even though you got it, you're like, okay,
even if it's just the custodian, they gonna want it.
Yeah, because if you have the physical cert, you're gonna need to turn in that physical cert
to get the shares, right?
To actually sell it
electronically.
They're not gonna let you keep it. And then, cause now we can't predict the future, but they might let you keep. I don't know. Maybe they have something to decertify or something like that. You know, in the future where they make this cert null and void. But you know, you're gonna have to actually sell it.
Maybe you can make a color copy or something. I don't even know.
Oh yeah, you could do that. You could do that because have you ever seen a physical cert?
Never.
They look like big money. They're all different, man.
How big? Like
diploma
like a 13
size.
Oh, okay.
Not BA, not bachelor's degree size, but like high school diploma size.
Okay.
Some of them are.
It's not that big,
but a little bit bigger than high school diploma. See how I jumped out of that one real quick? A little bit, a little bit bigger than high school diploma size.
Okay.
So like kind of between high school and BA.
Okay.
Size, right? So they're pretty big. But if you've never seen a physical cert, Google physical certs so you can look at them. They look like.
And I was gonna say, you said it looked like money. So does it have like watermarks? Is it on card?
It has
stock?
everything. Like the. So you'll see the cert like. It'll have like maybe an old picture of the company when they started. Mm-hmm. It's just when I say it looks like money, they have things that represent the origins of the actual company on there. Mm-hmm. You know, just like our money has origins of our country being formed, presidents, and landmarks, and things that we believe in. You know, mm-hmm. That's what they'll have on the cert.
Okay.
So and it's not a. All the certs that I've seen have not been like, you know, notebook paper. Mm-hmm. They've always been textured, kind of like money. I don't want to say that they're money paper, but you know, textured on different kinds of papers, and you know, it has ornate things around the edges. Mm-hmm. It reminds me of money, you know.
Okay.
It reminds me of that.
That's what it is.
In essence, that's what it is, you know. So
imagine going to McDonald's like, man, here's one share. Let me get a number 5 real quick.
Man, the person at the register gonna faint. They gonna be like, what is this? I can't do nothing with this, son. I need 546. That's
it's trading at 620 right now.
Nah, I need 546. That's all I know.
Keep the change, brother.
Nah, my boss ain't gonna be having that. You know what I'm saying? He wouldn't even know. He or she probably wouldn't even know what to do with that.
Man, we should do that. We should take a camera and go out somewhere and just get a cert and be like, man, let me get number 5. Yeah. And just whip out a cert. It's worth $720. Look, I can show you the price.
Yeah. But you know what? Our generation has never seen certs.
Dude, that would be fun.
We are coming upon a generation who never had.
That's what I'm saying. I've never seen one.
Never seen one, and I wouldn't have seen one if I didn't work in the finance industry. You know, but since I deal with finance every day, that's how I'm able to look at them. But even if you are a major investor, you're trading electronically at this point. You know. You're trading electronically.
It's convenience.
It's convenience. You say, okay, I sold 50 is gone, this and that, it's not. I got to get the share. I got to get the certs. I got to actually insure them. I got to send them here. I got to make sure that I got a safe deposit box. And if that, and when I say you have to make sure you have a safe deposit box, that's if you want to actually keep the shares yourself. You see what I'm saying?
You can't hide them in the floor like Granny was doing?
You can, but you better have a pistol like You know what I'm saying? But, you know, if I'm sure there are people out here that still have a lot of physical certs on deck.
I mean, in essence, that's that old money.
That's that old money mentality. A lot of people, especially in the Great Depression era, you know, those people, they went through a lot during that era, so that generation is slowly dying out, which our generation is going to slowly die out, people, you know. So just be mindful of that when you think about, that's before my time. Well, someone 50 years from now, they're going to say, hey, that's before my time.
And see, that's why, you know, when we talked about this, I was like, we got to do a podcast on it. Because even though we're not directly talking about, market share and this company paying this with your dividends and all sort of stuff, I still felt like this topic was important. Just to understand the process of everything. Yeah, like how how like the dues that have been paid to make it convenient for us today. For us to be able to click a button and we own 50 shares, like what has had to transpire from that time is just, to me, is amazing.
From the inception of the New York Stock Exchange to where we are today. And I think it's really important that you learn history of anything you're involved with. I hear a lot of music, and this is a side note.
Oh, I'm sorry. You said about on the New York Stock Exchange. You mentioned about the custodian, right? So remember, a stock exchange is just a means to connect the buyers and sellers.
Yeah,
so a stock exchange isn't. It's like holding the shares.
No.
Correct.
They're not holding it.
Okay, I just wanted to get that out.
The
there
stock exchange is the swap meet. It's the
swap meet. There you go.
It's the swap meet. So you go there, you go to the specific store you want to go to, and you actually get the goods that you want from that. So look at the stock exchange as the swap meet, and literally the name, you're swapping shares. You're swapping. They are they are what house. They are the entity that houses. They actually house the deals. They bring everything together. You know. So okay, we're gonna bring all these entities together.
And so when you said I have a brokerage and on the other side someone else has a brokerage, so the broker that's brokering the deal for me and the broker that's brokering the deal for them is coming to the stock exchange to complete the deal.
Yeah, well, because the securities just. Let's just say this: the securities.
I don't want to say it's a physical that they do.
Yeah,
but
the securities are held on the New York Stock Exchange, but not physically held because the custodian holds them. But they're no. Scratch that. They're not held there. That's where they're traded. It gives you the swap meet. This is where we trade our goods at this swap meet. You know, so Leroy's Chop and Shop may sell mufflers, and Eric's Stock Doc may buy mufflers.
Okay.
But Leroy's Chop Shop gets the mufflers from Lil John's, because Lil John's is their supplier, right?
Okay.
And then Eric's and Leroy's are
swapping it out,
and they're housed in the swap meet.
Okay.
That's where they're housed.
So Lil John's was a custodian.
Yeah, Lil John's, he's the custodian. He holds the muffler. Leroy sells it, Eric's buys it, and they're housed in the, i.e. New York Stock Exchange, in the swap meet.
Okay.
That's where they exchange the goods at. That's where they come together to exchange the goods.
Gotcha.
So look at it like that. That's where they come together to exchange the goods.
Which is commerce.
You
know, I talked about commodities last week in Teaching Thursdays.
Yeah, commerce.
I use that term, commerce. I gave the example of, let's say you go to Starbucks. Starbucks is buying a commodity of coffee. Well, the commodity of coffee is being exchanged for the consumer, my money. Yeah. That's the commerce, the exchange of the good for my money.
Yeah. So, like coffee, orange juice is a commodity. And, we'll get deeper into that. But just look at things like that. And when you look at it, the reason why we thought it was so valuable to give you guys a brief history lesson is because, like, in order to be successful at something, you have to know what you're doing in its totality. So you just can't know what it's doing right now. So if you want to be a successful investor, you need to know investments in its totality.
And see, think about it from, the whole Dame Dash, be a boss, all that stuff. When we think about it as an investor, I always tell people, as an investor, you need to treat yourself like a company. You know what I'm saying? You're owning shares in a company, so treat yourself as a business. And if you think about it, this broker is your employee.
Yeah,
they're working for you.
They're working for you. It's essentially
so you should want to know what's going on.
And you should want to know that so you don't get taken advantage of. A lot of people, you go to a financial advisor, but you don't know anything about finance. That financial advisor could take
that's why Black Market Exchange exists.
Yeah.
See, we don't offer direct financial advice.
We educate you.
Yeah, we just want to make sure when you go see your financial advisor that you be like, all right, I got it.
that you at least know some of the terms. So if, say for instance, you never invested in your life and you go sit at you go to a financial advisor and say, well, I want to invest my money. They could tell you anything.
Man, everything that glitter ain't gold.
Yeah,
bro.
they could tell you, okay, you need to put it over here, you need to do it this and that, while they're making great commissions and you're going broke. You're like, what happened? And then you on that side, you say, what happened to all my money? Oh, they robbed me. Essentially, they did rob you, but you also have to be responsible for educating yourself.
Yeah, and see, I saw someone make a statement on about buying shares in Apple, right? And he was like, oh, I'm gonna start buying a share every time I get paid, every 2 weeks. And I was like, I mean, that's a good idea. You want to get in the game, but you got to be mindful that it's going to cost you every purchase that you make. Yeah. And that $5 to $10 brokerage fee is going to add up. Yeah. Now, there's entities out there that, don't have brokerage fees, which is why we did the 10 apps in 10 days. However, you need to make sure that stock is trading. Because, some of these things might have low brokerage fees, but you want to make sure that it's FINRA and a SIPC member. Yeah. You want to make sure that the stock is even listed. Everybody's asking about TIDAL, but if you go into Robinhood's app, if you go into Robinhood's app, you can't buy TIDAL in there, which is really. I wish everybody would stop saying TIDAL. Ask me about Aspero.
Aspero is it. So let me get on that, but let me piggyback on that, right? So check this out. The guy said he's going to buy 1 share of Apple every time he gets paid, right? You should modify your brokerage account or get with a brokerage account. And this is just my personal, I found this works for me. Like, it accumulates and it purchases the securities every quarter.
Oh, okay.
So that cuts down on your brokerage fees a lot.
See, and that's what I was gonna say. Suggest maybe whatever the price is, since you were gonna buy it anyway, just take that money out and put it in your brokerage account. You don't have to buy the stock just yet. Yeah. But just take that money out that you were gonna buy it, put it in your account, and then after 2-3 months, buy that many shares that you have. Now the value might have went up on the stock, but it might have went down. You might actually even get more shares than you wanted to get.
And I don't know how. I just know how my brokerage account works. That we have it set up where where it accumulates the money, and every quarter we buy the securities. So it accumulates the money. So a certain amount goes in, every time we get paid or whatever, and it accumulates. And the ending of every quarter, there are 4 quarters in the fiscal year. It purchases stocks.
Now, is that based on your choices or how?
That's our choice. Now, I don't know about every brokerage firm and how that works. Yeah. But what I will tell you, what that does is that gives us 4 brokerage fees per year. That's it.
How did you get that program? Because it seems like you said, it's automatic, right? Yeah. So how did you have to ask your brokerage about that?
Yeah, you just have to ask your brocherage firm about.
Okay.
You have to ask. You say, well,
so just contact customer support
and say, hey, I want you guys to. I'm gonna go ahead and put this out there. I'm pretty sure if you're getting direct deposit at your job, you can add your brokerage account to there.
I did that for my wife's Roth IRA. Yeah, it just automatically went in.
Yeah, it just automatically feeds into your brokerage account. And then you can call up customer service and say, "Hey, I want to purchase such and such securities at the end of each quarter." And if they don't offer that, still hook up the automatic direct deposit.
So at least the money's in there.
So at least the money's in there, and then you stay on top of that. You buy the securities every quarter. So when the money accumulates, you say, okay, I can go out now. I can afford 4 shares instead of you buying a share every other week, or maybe if you get paid on a weekly basis, or if you're a salaried employee, you get paid every month. Or twice a month, however it is. So that's cutting out brokerage fees, because every time you do a transaction, there's going to be a brokerage fee associated with that transaction.
When I did my taxes last year, I learned that the hard way. Because I still do a little bit of trading here and there, so it's just like that stuff adds up. You got to be mindful of how often you're doing it, and that's why finding one with low fees. That's why I don't promote ones with low fees over ones with higher fees, because they offer different services. Yeah, one with low fees might not be able to invest automatically for you every quarter. So that's the give and the take.
So that's another key thing. Thanks for bringing it up.
You get what you pay for.
You get what you pay for, because I know that money is one of the top tier issues, but don't make it paramount.
Yeah.
Because different brokerage firms offer different things. You may have to pay a little bit more, but in essence, you get more of the things that you want
and
out of that
it's
brokerage.
the little things, like, you know, like I have several accounts. There's one account where it's very low fees, but the turnaround time for the selling of a stock to clear, the turnaround time for my deposit to clear, for my funds to, you know, all those things, it takes a while. Yeah. Compared to my one where I pay a little bit more to buy and sell, it's instant, or it's within 24 hours.
Yeah, it's
so that's what you pay for.
You pay, you essentially get what you pay for, but you know, you have to come to a perfect median to find out what you need and what price you're willing to pay, and you go in between there. And I think that when you look at, because we had let's go back to the TIDAL. People are like, how can I invest in TIDAL? How can I invest in TIDAL?
Every day,
and that's why it's important for you to know the history and you to know investing in its totality, because if you don't know what you're doing when you're trying to invest, right? That's why here at the Black Market Exchange, all we offer is investment education. We give you terms, we give you tips. We're not advising you on anything. We're just getting you ready to walk into that door for you to be fully equipped and ready to handle the situation.
And that's why, you know, we're not telling people like to not want to invest in Aspero. It's just make sure you understand why you're doing it.
Because if you're saying I want to invest in TIDAL, then you're kind of off the mark.
Yeah, because honestly, to me, it's just like I want to invest in Jay-Z's company. That's the way it is. But you got to think about it like, if you invest, and we talked about the Brooklyn Nets before, like he doesn't own a majority stake.
He owns a minority stake.
So just be mindful of that. Like he's not the only person calling the shots. Yeah, at Aspero. Like there's other. You got a board of directors and stuff.
And you gotta realize that the CEO of Aspero he's out the door. He just resigned, or something. He resigned or quit or something. So you got to know that that's going to affect the stock price. You know, so you have to be aware of what's going on. That's like, you know, you trying to get a job in securities and you don't have any securities training. They can train you, but before they actually put you out there to do something, they're going to make sure you know what you're doing, because you're going to be on the phone with brokers, lawyers, all kinds of people. And that's with any situation. Like, you're a pharmacologist, right? Yeah. And, you know, you can't just be dishing out medicines. And you don't know what you're doing, man.
Yeah, them doctors, they're going to call me, hey, can I use this for this? And it's like, if I ain't go to school for it, like, I wouldn't know.
So we want to empower you guys to be educated, because that a lot of people of color, and matter of fact, we don't even limit it to people of color. I'm talking about all kinds of people.
We want everyone to be in the black.
In the black, because when you walk into an investment firm, whether you're a person of color or you're not a person of color, whoever you are, we want you to be able to say, I can understand, I know what's going on. You don't have to be an expert. We just want you to understand. Do you know how many times people have walked into financial advisors who have came into some money, or who have say, well, I want to start investing, and got taken advantage of because they didn't know what was going on. And that's a key point. The reason why we brought you the podcast the way we brought it today is because we want you to understand not only things that are current, but we want you to understand why you trade, electronic shares now. Why do you see it going in and out? Because the physical shares that we used to hold, those are bulky. Now, as technology progressed, guess what? So did the stock exchanges. Yeah. They progressed as well.
And you wanted to be secure. Like, you didn't want to go buy no shares and then the messenger get bumped in the road and now all of a sudden your shares is gone. Like, you can't do nothing about it.
You can't do nothing about it. And then you say, well, the messenger got robbed, or
sorry.
Okay, I need to replace these shares with loss. And same thing with bearer bonds. You want to, as technology progressed, so did the entities in which, and the intricacies of which we trade stock. They progressed as well. So they said, you know what, we can do this with holding these. It's like vaults full of securities, like vaults. They built vaults to hold these physical certs, So now we trade it electronically. Essentially, look at it like this. When you get your check direct deposited, right? You don't even, 9 times out of 10, now you don't even see the cash. You just swipe the cash and it's actual electronic numbers.
Yeah.
And it goes up when you get a deposit, and it goes down when you spend,
Yeah. And so, you don't get you don't, when you have direct deposit, you don't get those check stubs. Like you ain't asking for that check stub no more.
Yeah, we don't. I don't even get that. I just get an electronic printout.
But what I'm saying, and I'm sure you could ask for a pay stub if you want it, but why would you do it? It's not going to serve you any purpose.
And we've come to the realization where I get an electronic pay stub, and if I want it, I can print it out. If not, I just leave it electronically. And it's our system where. At my place of employment, they're all archived. So if I need to print something, I just go back, I just go back there, But so the title thing, we don't want you guys to be discouraged from investing in title. What we're saying is we want you guys to be educated in investing in title. Check out Aspero and check out what it's doing, right? Because you're not investing in title, you're investing in the parent company that holds title.
What if, other entities that it owns, because Tidal isn't the only streaming service that it owns. What if the other ones aren't doing so well?
Then that's going to affect your stock price. So you got to be aware of all these things. That takes me back to the new school hip hop kid that says, "Oh man, I don't know about that dude, man. He was before me time. He was before my time. He irrelevant." Come on, son. We need to stop using that word irrelevant. Guess what irrelevant is? It's an opinion. Somebody is irrelevant to everybody on earth. So even the hottest hip hop star right now, he's irrelevant to the average Joe Schmo who's cutting his yard. He doesn't know about that. He's and then to the hip hop star, that guy's irrelevant. So irrelevant is a matter of opinion that shouldn't, just because something isn't current, it shouldn't stop you from wanting to learn the history. That's the reason why I use the hip hop analogy, because just because someone is not current or someone isn't in the forefront anymore doesn't mean that they are not still contributing to the actual cause. It's just because we don't trade physical certs.
It paved the way.
Yeah, just because we don't, everybody's mostly electronic doesn't mean physical certs have died off. There's still uses for them, and there's still millions of physical certs floating out there.
Yeah. And some of those, the older hip hop artists, they still doing shows. And people still want to see them.
They still have their fan base, and they still. But
man, they talking about Dougie Fresh coming here. With some other folks, I think like LL Cool J and somebody,
that was before my time.
Somebody want to see him,
so somebody want to see him, and then you know what, they contributed to what you have now, because if it was no them, then you wouldn't have you wouldn't be able to do what you do. So if you don't learn from your history, you're doomed to repeat it. And on that note, we're gonna close it out, man.
Yeah, man, it's been CP and the Hip Hop Stock Doc. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Brent, Money, and Life. Check out all our programming. We still finishing out the 5 apps for the 10 and 10. We got the verse of the week this week using Currency. Currency's actually dropping
the hospital.
He's actually dropping a mixtape.
2009.
He dropped it yesterday. So he's dropping that, and we got the verse of the week to complement that.
Oh, wow.
And then the Market Mondays, and we actually switching to Teaching Thursdays up, since this is actually April's Financial Literacy Month.
Oh, okay.
So we're gonna do something special for financial literacy. So sign up for our email list through our website so you can get that piece on Thursday to see what that is. The website's www.thebmax.com. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube, Black Market Exchange. Follow on SoundCloud, Black Market Exchange, and check for us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff.
Comment on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube if we haven't already said that, and remember that we are in the works of doing a wonderful training exercise that I think you guys are going to
love this, bro.
I think you guys are gonna love it. I think you guys are going to absorb it.
I don't even know that the fact that it's so great because of what it's going to do for people, or what it's just building that we got offered in the future. We got so much more coming.
We got something else coming in. We got something else coming, and we got something else coming. Yo, you gotta. I know you wondering, you like, why is this guy? Does he have Tourette's? Why is he repeating? Why is he repeating everything in threes? But we got something coming, and it deals with threes. But before that hits, we have this wonderful training program that we have been putting together for you guys, and I think that you guys are gonna absorb it so well. You guys are going to love it, and because it's been a blessing for us to actually bless you guys. And on that note, live life, love God. We out. That was good.
Yeah, man.